Isn't it ironic how people can scream and yell about financial equity in one breath and in another talk about let's not tax the rich because that's not fair. They've earned that money. I had a situation, and I know we've all been through there, where a day or two later, your mind's clear and you're like, oh, this would have been a great opportunity to interject. I had one of them recently. I was dealing with a group of people, very much right wing Christian type individuals. And they're very big sports fans, especially college sports fans in my area. And they were talking about NILs, the idea of paying the athletes now, how the athletes can sign contracts, get paychecks from different sponsors or whatever, which I think is a great idea. These kids have been putting in the work and effort, and the universities have been banking on them for years. It's about time the kids got some of their just dues and pays. So I'm all for it. But this group of people who are extremely right-wing and conservative that would tell you that raising the taxes on the riches may not be a great idea because someday we may be there. They never will, but someday they might. And in this, when we were talking about the NIL, they started talking about how it was unfair, how they need to put a cap on this money that's being shared and diversified amongst different colleges. It was unfair that certain universities like Ohio State and Michigan and Alabama and all these other schools that have wealthy affiliates behind them are getting all this extra money put into them. So they have an unlimited amount of resources to divide up amongst their student athletes and the availability to pay even more athletes. So you can get the best athletes in the country to come to your school if you have millions upon millions of dollars to offer up, and you can pay each one $10 million. People are going to flock to that opportunity. But if you go to a smaller school, like, say, a Kansas or an Iowa State or something like that, now all of a sudden they don't have them hundreds of millions of dollars to spend, and they can only afford to maybe give one athlete that $5 million contract and a few others a few $100,000. Still very good money, but the top athletes are going to be attracted to the schools that are going to offer more of the $5 million contracts. And their whole idea was you have to make this equitable amongst all schools. We have to put a cap on this. And I thought about it a day or two later and just kicked myself in the ass for not thinking of it in a time. What is so ironic? These people that would fight tooth and nail against socialism, fight tooth and nail against equity of finances, equal distribution of wealth, are the ones that are championing equal distribution of wealth for their college football team or basketball team, because they're on the lower end of this. And the teams that they root for are the ones that aren't having the multi-million-dollar contracts with players. They're the ones that have the one or two multi-million-dollar contracts with players. So they want equity established through here. They want socialism in their fandom. And they see that that's fine, but they don't see it as socialism. They see it as an equal and fair opportunity for people to compete and thrive in this field. That all teams will then benefit the same, and all teams will have the same opportunity to win and strive and do the best they possibly can and bring in the most amount of income, but they're all starting from the same base. They love socialism when it counts, but they don't see that they love socialism when it counts. They think it's something completely different. I wish I would have thought of it then. But maybe it's something that can trigger something with you. When you see these people, like in my area of the country, when farmers are talking constantly about how bad communism and socialism is, but they're accepting all the subsidies that are coming into them at all times and think that's great. They think it's great that the government comes in and gives them money to pay off what they've overproduced in their fields, or to give them insurances on crops that may have been damaged or harmed, or low crops because of drought or whatever. That's awesome. That's great for them. They get to maintain an equitable balance in their income. Socialism. Think of things like this. See if you can catch these people in these thoughts. I don't know if it'll work, or if it'll spring anything to them, or if it'll just shut them down for a minute and have their just process and just get fried for a second. But at least that would be some enjoyment too, to watch these people stutter and stammer over themselves as they curse communism, as they curse socialism, but fight and champion for it in the areas that benefit them or that they want.